another day, another chance. Today I'll be discussing to you all about something I'm doing today, and it'll be chapter 19, and what I'm doing is I'm going to show you what I did, and that was like a stand, so that's what I was doing, man. I was doing a stand, so yeah, I'll show you what I was doing. So let's get to it and let's go, man. So, okay, got shift exclamation mark enter. And what that does, it gives it this layout that you see here. Oh damn, wait, hold on, sorry about that, my fault. I need to fix something. Come on now, come on. Right, so that's what it does, and then what it does is creates a link relation between style sheet. So the style sheet is pretty much the layout that you see on the web page. Then the href styles.css. So what styles.css does, it pretty much adds like a sense of like unification to our front end with our HTML to make it look better. So that's what it does. And then you've got our header h1 style text align center, the lemon stand game. So if you're wondering how I got these lemons, think AI for that. But here's the one that I was actually working with, So then you got your body, weather forecast display, section ID, 7-day weather, cell overflow auto. So what this does is it helps, form like a section ID. So we can refer to it when we're working on our back end to pretty much add functionality to our front end. So they were the style overflow auto, then order form, selection ID, order form. The IDs elements is to help us refer to what we're working with here, where we're trying to add functionality to it on the front end. Div class form group. So it's going to group everything together and label for a number of classes. How many classes of lemon will you make this week? Input type, number, ID, same thing, ID, create a source reference for our back end, placeholder, hence think big. So our placeholder is pretty much it's like a ghost value that we've got here. The ghost value that we have, So it's a ghost value. What that ghost value does is just holds a value until you actually put an input value in there. So for now, before you put a value in there, it's just going to pretty much show, the placeholder, right? Then button type, button, open the stand, ID, open the stand. So ID is for our functionality on our back end type. The button type is a button, so it's going to have the same layout as a button, and then the name of that button will be open the stand. As you can see here, that button is shown there. Then results, section ID equals results, script source main.js, then body HTML. So main.js, what that does is, it pretty much, adds functionality on our back end to our front end, or in simpler terms, our web page. The stuff that we've got in Chrome, so that we'll be able to utilize, functions via our web page. So you pretty much have like a full stack relationship between the front end and the back end, with the CSS beautifying the front end to make it look better. So you got concept days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. As you can see here, you got 7 days. Then constant weather. So you need a randomizer to randomize like the type of weathers that we've got. So we got constant weather. As you can see here, foggy, and yeah, you can see the weather. Constant max 10, 110, min 10, 32. Lemon cost. So the lemon cost, right, is gonna be 5 cents. Let daily temperature equals to, the reason why we're going to leave the square brackets empty is because we don't want a fixed value, right? we want to have random values that get randomized. So hence this. Then our whether same thing here for our curly brackets. For our curly brackets, we don't want to have fixed values, so we leave it empty. Document get element per ID, open the stand, add event listener, click open the stand. So get element per ID, document, what document refers to is what type of document you're referring to. So obviously referring to the HTML, so we're gonna add that first dot. What that dot does is it gives the computer a sense of reference to the first object, the specified value of the ID attribute. So it helps the computer pretty much set up a parameter for the first object in reference. So open the stand, right, would be reference, and then get element by ID. As I said before, we added IDs in our JS, so be able to easily add functionality on our back end, to the stuff that we've got on our JS. And obviously the JS refers to our front end, and the front end refers to the stuff we got on our web page. And then add event listener. So what an add event listener does is it listens for a prompt, depending on what you select. So if you select click, what that does is as soon as you left click once on your mouse, it pretty much executes a function. Then open the stand, it's referring to the ID element that you need to refer to, that we need to add a event listener to. So that's the button that we've got on our HTML function, generate whether, constant whether that element the ID, same thing there, referring to our ID element on the HTML 70, whether contain that HTML or in the HTML clear if we generate for loop. So let's ith or the index. So what index does it measures placeholders, right? That's what it does. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna measure, the indexes for Monday to Sunday, and then same thing for Monday to Sunday. That's what it's gonna do. So that's what our for loop is measuring, right? Equals 0. So that means you got an infinite loop. We won't have a fixed loop, so it won't go from so we won't have a fixed loop, but an infinite loop because it's 0. Then I is less than days at length. So what this does is it makes sure that the parameter is greater than the placeholders for our index. Hence the computer will be able to measure out the days easily. Days at length. Then I plus what this does is an incrementing value. It helps increments. So let's say, for example, you got Monday as your first index, and then Sunday as the last. So what that does is the increment value. What that does is it's gonna take your first placeholder index, and then it's gonna increment to our last one. But what decrementing does is it does the opposite. It takes our last placeholder, like what we've got here with Sunday, makes it first, and then takes our first one, which is Monday, and makes it last. But I can even show you an example here. I messed everything up, sorry. Well, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. Then constant count weather. So the reason why we got a math flow, the reason why we've got a math flow is pretty much returns the greatest integer less than or equal to its numeric argument. So it pretty much refers to the integers that are greater than or equal to the argument that's being made, which is randomizing our weather. Then math.random, what it does is it pretty much it randomizes the values that we've got, and randomizes it. It pseudo randomizes it, So it returns to the random number between 0 and 1. Then whether referring to a constant variable, and then our length, it measures out the length of the array. That's what it does. Same thing here for our current temp math.floor. Math.floor, same thing there, math.random, same thing there. I mean, who else? Who am I? So that's what it does, times by max temp minus min temp plus min temp. That's what it does. And then daily temp I. So it takes our daily temp, indexes it, and makes sure that it equals to our current temp. Right, counts the box document that create element. So what it does is it makes sure that our daily temp, the indexes for the daily temperature is equal to our current temp. So it's going to take our daily temp and it's going to make sure that it's equal to it. Yeah, that's what it does. So constant day box, that's equals document create element div daybox.id days. So we got a constant called daybox, right? What that does is it refers to like the box, right? The days in our box, right? It refers to the box that we have, right? Then what that does is within that box, we're going to have our days, our indexing for our days, then our class name, which is current weather, and then daybox.innerhtml. So we've got a string here, forecast for days, index, current weather, and current temp. So what this does is, what that does is it helps break strings, apart, so you've got spaces in between them. And then, we've got weather.container append child daybox. So weather container. So we need to append the weather container to the daybox that we've got. Then same thing here. Open the stand. Same thing here, man. So that's what open the stand does. Set from clear previous output. So every time press refresh button, it refreshes everything. If number of classes is less than or equal to 0, or class price is less than 0.5, please enter valid input value. Then you got little class equals 0. You got another for loop, for days of length incrementing. The current price equals class price. So the for loop is pretty much for like the receipt that you've got. So it just measures out the indexing, the parameter for it. Make sure that I equals 0. So you make sure you've got an infinite loop. Days strict equal operator Sunday current price math.max was price let class sold math floor daily temp current price. If class sold is less than class left, class sold equals class left, all classes equal to plus. So what that does is it makes sure that we retain the original value but add onto it result div inner HTML, then we change the value but add onto it, which is a string, and then within that string we've got our values. We've got our element values, then display results, number of classes, class price, sold classes. Then we've got display results, revenue, weekly sales time, class price. Once we eliminate cost, revenue, revenue minus expense with inventory minus sales. Same thing, inner HTML concept, result div. Right? Get them by result inner HTML. So same thing here. So this refers to our inner HTML. Same thing there. Reset form. That can get in by ID result. So what that does is it helps reset everything. Or just resets everything every time. If we press the refresh button, everything gets reset. So as you can see, our math.flow.randomize is randomizing our weather, our day, pretty much everything that you've got is being randomized. So let's say, how many glasses of lemonade will you make this week? How much will you charge per glass? 77 cents. Sold 22 glasses. Sold 22 glasses. Total revenue 16.94. Leftover stocks 0. Profit 5. We got a profit. That's nice. It's nice. And then so as you can see here, what you see here is our HTML, the code for HTML, and then the stuff that pops up, that hovers over every time we hover our mouse over something is our CSS. As you can see here, our CSS values there. Limit stand, and then how much will you charge per class? How many classes of lemon will you make this week? Same thing here. Got that console. And yeah, so that's that, man. So thank you very much. Until next time, take care and you're blessed. Thanks. Is this thing so on? Wait, is this thing so on? Just playing with you.